Health and Fitness with David Hollywood.
With DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service at dssports.ie.
Hello and welcome to the programme. This week we have a true superstar on the show. Ellen Keane has competed at a remarkable 5 Paralympic Games. She's won 2 Paralympic medals, including a gold at Tokyo in 2021. Beyond all that, Ellen has proven herself to be an amazing role model for young people. We'll be talking about the magic of the Games and the importance of stopping the drop for young women. Speaking of women, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the foundation of the Ladies Gaelic Football Association. Hayley Kilgallen's penned an absolutely gorgeous book on the history of the LGFA. You'll meet her this evening and you'll hear about the fundamental part Offaly played in establishing the sport in this country. And we catch up with Carl Dunn. He's the CEO of Ireland Active. They're the representative body for the leisure, health and fitness sector in Ireland. They're asking the government for more financial support in this year's budget. You'll hear his answer as to why they should get taxpayers' money. Now, I'm delighted to say we are joined on Health and Fitness this evening by a 2-time Paralympic medalist, swimmer at 5 games, no less, Ellen Keane. Ellen, the Paris Games are in the books, as is your Paralympic career. That's a big sentence, obviously. What are your reflections on Paris, firstly?
Paris. It's been so amazing. It's just, as I said in like my interviews and on Instagram, it's just been a games full of love and appreciation. And I didn't know what to expect when I went to Paris, and I haven't really had the same motivation that I've had in the past for this games. And when I got there, it's just been incredible. It's just the love and support from the team, the love and support from the crowds and everyone around has just been so incredible. So I just feel so grateful, and I think it was the perfect way to end the career.
Yeah, I heard your comments afterwards that you had gotten yourself into a really sensible place psychologically about the games, the competition, and the way it kind of worked out that you weren't swimming in your strongest event for your last event. So talk us through the experience of heading into that final race in the call room and on the blocks. I know from a sports person's perspective, you guys work so hard to keep a level mind when you get to these moments. It must have felt fairly easy on that occasion.
Yeah, it was kind of like a performance plan that we had in place so that I didn't have to worry when I was in my breaststroke call room thinking, oh God, this is the end. This is how it ends. And I have to try and do well here. So it was also important for me to have another race so that my teammates around me, I wasn't finished on day 2 and then wait for everyone to finish. So it was a bit of a performance plan there. But then when the day itself was coming, I was like, oh my God, I'm just so glad that I can just relax and have a bit of fun here. And that's all it was. It was going through the motions of realistically what I would do anyway on a race day, but I was so relaxed. And I guess if I could in any way be able to recreate that feeling and that experience for an actual main event, it probably would have been perfect. But it just was really, really special, and it was funny. And everyone was just laughing at me saying, why are you doing 100 backstroke? You're not a backstroker. And I was walking into the call room and the only thing I said to my coach was, I hope I don't come last. And she was like, Ellen, realistically, you actually might come last. Like, you're ranked second last, you might come last. So when I walked out, I was just waving at the crowd. I was taking it all in. And there was a moment where I walked out and I think I saw, like, I literally made eye contact with my friends and my family. And it was literally like, everyone knew what was going to happen. It was just the end. So for backstroke, you jump in the water before you, like, to start, you have to just jump in the water. That's very casual, and you pull yourself up and then it's take your marks, go. So when the whistle blew and I was jumping in, I just did one big jump, and it was just a carefree, fun kid jumping into the pool moment, and then take your marks, go. And the race started, and there was a girl beside me, and she was obviously fast. I knew she was faster than me. I knew her time on paper was faster than me, and she was about a foot taller than me as well. So I could see her in the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually right beside this girl. And I was like, okay, now my goal is just to beat her. So as it came towards the end of the race, we were literally side by side, and I knew she was taller than me, and I knew she had a longer reach than I did. So I just had to work so hard to get to that wall before her. So I did actually, even though I ended on a non-event and I ended my career, maybe not with a PB, I actually still fought to the very end. And it was really nice to do that and really nice to have pushed myself, but still have been so happy with the outcome no matter what. And I didn't come last. I came third last. So I was delighted with that.
Was it a season's best as well, I think, in that race.
Yeah, I think it was. There you go. That's how much I care about it. I don't even know if it was I just know I went in with the goal of knocking my last, and I didn't.
Fourth place in the breaststroke. You had the backstroke to finish up. Were your performances at the games in Paris what you expected? Was it kind of under the bar of your expectation, or were you happy looking back that you managed to do what you did?
I think at the beginning of the season, had you told me the results, I would have been bitterly disappointed. I definitely had the bar set a lot higher than that. But just the season that I had, I kind of had struggled, not with injury, but just struggled with a bit of shoulder issues throughout the cycle itself. And then I was kind of struggling with ups and downs of my motivation and even just recovering. I started to notice, like, I am only 29, but I started to notice that every time I raced, I found it really hard to recover afterwards. And I found it really hard to kind of get back up to feeling good in training. So kind of just as the year went on, I started to realize, okay, maybe I'm not going to have the performances that I want to have here in Paris. So I kind of need to figure out how to refocus and reframe my thought process here. And then when it came to Paris itself, like, I did go in expecting better results, and I did go in expecting more of my breaststroke. And I did think I'd make the podium. But unfortunately it wasn't the case. And I guess when I was looking at I guess when I reflected on how I was feeling on the day and how I was feeling in the lead up, I didn't have the hunger in me. I didn't have the fight. I didn't have the motivation throughout the season. So although on the day itself I fought as hard as I possibly could, it wasn't enough. And I was okay with that, because I had already done it. I'd already won my gold medal, and I guess that's why the motivation wasn't there. It's because I'd already ticked that box. I didn't need to do it again. There's some athletes out there who are constantly striving for gold medals, and all I ever wanted to do was to at least make that podium once, the top of that podium once, and I already did it. So I had no regrets about how I did, and even just I think the best thing about it was nearly coming fourth, because I think if I had won a medal, everyone just assumed, oh yeah, Ellen will win a medal. And then when I came fourth, I think it shook people a little bit, because the nation probably realized, oh, Ellen didn't win a medal. So like, what's going on here? And I didn't win a medal because it's high performance sport. Nothing in life is guaranteed. You have to be in it to win it, and you have to be fully committed and fully motivated for 4 years or 3 years, however long the cycle is. And you can't just rock up on the day. Like, on the day, like, to win a gold medal, it's 4 years of training. It's not just what happens on the day. On the day, it's a little bit of luck, but other than that, that's all it is. And I just didn't have it in me. So I think the love and support I had after coming forth was incredible. And I think everyone can understand, not everyone can understand what it feels like to win a gold medal, but everyone can understand what it feels like to lose something. So I really, really appreciated the love, the comments, the people reaching out to me, and people making the effort to make sure I was okay. And I just want everyone to know that I am okay. There's nothing to worry about. I've had a smile on my face since I finished.
Yeah, I've been able to. I really enjoy watching your kind of post games chats with people, and just how positive the messages you're sending out about your own career, but what sport is about, generally speaking. And like, you know, as you mentioned there, like, physically, you mightn't have been 100% this season. 5 Paralympic Games, like, regardless of being 29, the effective age for yourself, it's a different story, I suppose. Just a final point on Paris, flag bearer on the last night. I saw on Instagram, you threw up a couple of really lovely snaps of it. What was the atmosphere in Team Ireland like throughout the games, and what was it like to be the flag bearer at the end of the games? It looked magical.
Oh, that's the word. It was magical. It was such an incredible experience. Team Ireland were just so good at supporting each other and looking after each other and cheering each other on. And any athlete that had finished earlier on in the calendar or in the schedule made sure that they came and they supported and they cheered on everyone else. And just so incredible to see. So being able to be flag bearer and to lead the team kind of towards the end of for the closing ceremony, and just being able to celebrate with everyone. It was just, we were all just full of so much love and support. And the best thing about the closing ceremony was how absolutely bonkers Team Ireland were. Like, we were probably the only country that stayed together as one, and that were jumping up and down and dancing with each other. And there were moments where the cameras just kept coming to us because we were all just going mad and dancing with each other. And then at the very end, when the music stopped, Team Ireland just started chanting "Ole, ole, ole," and everyone around us just stopped and started watching us and supporting us. And even when we were walking out to get the bus for the closing ceremony, we got Zombie played in the waiting area, and all Team Ireland were singing Zombie, and everyone around us was just filming us and watching us. And I think that's a special thing about being Irish. And I said it to a couple of people when I was on the plane home. I was like, I'm so proud to be Irish. Like, it's just so lovely. Like, the love, the sport that we have for each other. Even coming home on an Aer Lingus plane, eating Tayto, eating a dairy. I was like, it's such a cliche, but I love it so much.
Yeah, I think we all enjoy it really in reality. A final question then is, as an Allianz ambassador, you're sending out the message seeking to stop the drop in terms of young women and girls' participation in sport. Apart from being a role model for other people looking to get involved in, say, para sports, to be someone sending out the message to increase female participation in sport, like, that's a fairly amazing thing as well. And all of this is because of what you've done in the pool. How do you feel about that type of thing?
Do you know what? I never really understood why I would get so much love and attention from World Para Swimming and Paralympics as like an international thing. And so many people had said it to me. It's because of how positive you are and like your passion for promoting para sport and raising awareness. And I kind of only really realized that in the past few days, and it's really, really, really special. And sometimes, yeah, you win a gold medal, and sometimes you inspire someone to get in the pool for the first time, or learn to swim, or give someone the confidence to try something new. And that's why it's so lovely being part of such a great campaign to try and encourage people to stay involved and to try something new in sport, because the amazing life and career I've had is because of sport. And the amazing friends I have. There's some snaps, some photos from the closing ceremony even there where I'm hugging an Argentinian who I've known since I was like 12 years old. Like, sport is more than just about winning medals. It's more than just about representing your country. It's all about the friends that you make and the journey and the memories that you have. So it's been incredible.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us on health and fitness this evening. You've been a fantastic role model, and the best of luck with absolutely everything going forward.
Thank you so much.
Next on Health and Fitness, we're talking about Ireland in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s and beyond. This is the history of ladies Gaelic football.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports. With gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dsports.ie.
Midlands 103.
Now, the anniversary of the Ladies Gaelic Football Association, the 50th anniversary, is upon us. And at this point, often we take stock and see where things have come from, where they're going to, and where we are today. And with Ladies Gaelic Football, they are all really big questions. Well, I'm very glad to say and to point out that a book has taken care of a lot of these questions for us. Unladylike by Hayley Kilgallen has just come out, and personally, having gone through it over the last couple of nights, I can genuinely recommend it as a brilliantly put together piece of literature, and some fine work done by Hayley, who joins us on the programme this evening. Hayley, congrats on the book. Thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you very much, David, for having me on.
Ladies Gaelic football, it has its own distinct history, and it wasn't born conventionally, let's say. So bring us back to where the game first had its roots, and how women got involved in playing it, and kind of how society was regarding it at the time. Because to get involved in ladies Gaelic football at the very start, took a fair bit of withstanding against societal pressure in a lot of respects.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, so this year is the 50th anniversary since the founding of the Ladies Gaelic Football Association, which may be news to many people who assume that Ladies Gaelic Football is part of the wider Gaelic Games community. The GAA has been going since 1884, the Camogie Association since 1904. So the Ladies Gaelic Football Association is the youngest of our three Gaelic Games associations. And the reason for that is because, as the title of the book says, it was thought that women playing Gaelic football would be unladylike. And for that reason, it was just not provided for or facilitated for women to play Gaelic football when men were playing Gaelic football and hurling, and when women were playing camogie through the early decades of the 20th century. So it starts then as a novelty act, really, in the 1960s at carnivals around the countries. And it's actually particularly popular in Midland counties at carnivals there. So, they're kind of testing the waters, giving women an opportunity to play Gaelic football, but it's done in this kind of jokey nature. Come and see women playing Gaelic football. This will be entertaining. Often these carnivals are there to raise funds for a local cause. But after a while, the women playing Gaelic football are demonstrating that they can very well play Gaelic football, and they're enjoying it too. And the popularity of the game leads to it developing into a more organised game over the next couple of years.
I want to take out one particular example the book highlights in those initial chapters about the arrival of ladies Gaelic football, and it was a piece of correspondence regarding women's attendance to Croke Park. I'm going to read out the letter from signed off as Cork Farmer. It starts, Sir, now that the All-Ireland finals are at hand again, let's hope the GAA will bar women from attending these games, taking up valuable space. To me, there's nothing more revolting or unnatural than to see a pleasure-bent woman in the city for fun and enjoyment instead of being satisfied with her lot at home. The GAA is a man's organisation for men only. It's remarkable that has been written in the last 100 years in the first place and not a parody. But by the same token, you've printed beside it in the book a long list of letters and correspondence that come from women not necessarily connected to the GAA, and many who are making the point that the GAA could not have been what it was for men if it weren't for the women ultimately keeping it on its feet in a lot of regards. But it's just it's a mad situation to consider.
Yeah, it is. Like, the letter from the farmer is really striking and shocking, and it always, I'd like to think or I wonder what would he have thought about women playing Gaelic football. He's just giving out about women being at games and taking up valuable space, as he's put it, when they should be, in his view, at home, having a role there rather than outside the home. And the society at the time did have a very specific role for women, that they should be at home, that outside of the home was more of a male sphere, and sport specifically. But this is a time where society is reconsidering the role of women. You've got movements happening not just in Ireland but all around the world in terms of push for greater civil rights, push for greater gender equality. So this change is happening in that context, that people are thinking, well, actually, what is wrong with women attending sporting games or playing different sports? And it was really heartening to read those replies from mainly women, I think, who were standing up for women going to Croke Park and pointing out the role that women have played in sport and Gaelic Games communities for a long time, in terms of, washing kits, providing tea and sandwiches, providing support, looking after children, which are all really, really important roles and have contributed to the running of Gaelic games. But then with the arrival of the Ladies Gaelic Football Association, you're seeing women being given an opportunity to actually take part in the sport as well.
Where does this leave us in terms of the question about camogie then? Because for some reason that was permissible, but Gaelic football was unladylike. In your research over the years, how did this situation develop?
Yeah, so I guess camogie starts in the early 20th century, and it's seen probably as an alternative to games such as hockey or tennis, which are seen as suitable sports for women at the time, because they're considered to be less strenuous than games like football, whether that's Gaelic football, soccer, or rugby. They're seen as more masculine sports. They're seen as more dangerous sports as well in terms of the physicality of them. So camogie is seen as suitable and acceptable for women to play because it is that little bit less strenuous or perceived to be at the time. There's also the issue of modesty, and women are playing camogie in those early years in long skirts and shirts, so they're able to kind of protect their modesty or present themselves in a ladylike fashion, to say. Whereas football is considered to be very much a masculine game, and there's fears and myths put forward about potentially the development of breast cancer if a ball hits a woman in the chest, or that they might struggle to carry children because of the physical demands of playing a game like football, which are all myths at the time, but they're put forward to discourage women from playing games like Gaelic football.
For the game to flourish then, or to develop, I should say, it had to go through unconventional means. And you mentioned that it oftentimes existed at carnivals as a sort of a sideshow and an exhibition. But by the same token, that these were extremely popular games, and it developed on from that. So that by the time we got to the late 1960s, the Offaly Independent was reporting very positively on a tournament that was organised by the Arden Pitch and Putt Club, won by the Tullamore Camogie Club, all of whom were playing ladies Gaelic football. So the entities that were bringing football to the forefront were sporting and social clubs of different codes, and this eventually led to the establishment of the Offaly League, where, as you mentioned, the Midlands counties were providing teams through all of these kind of different social outlets and sporting codes and clubs.
Yeah, that's true. So the types of associations that are instrumental in encouraging the women to take up Gaelic football are other sporting clubs. So there's pitch and putt, camogie clubs taking part in these Midland leagues, and then like workplaces and social clubs as well are all really important. So they're the early origins of the game. That's where the clubs are developing out of. And when you look at other counties too, like they are developing out of existing GAA clubs as well, and workplaces are really important, and at this time more women are going outside of the home to work too, so you can see the link there between more women working outside of the home and then taking part in social activities and sporting activities.
So let's bring it up to the point at which the LGFA was established exactly 50 years ago, as we've been saying from the top of our conversation. Who were the major players in putting it together? What was the environment around ladies Gaelic football that moved it from this, I suppose, bespoke local competition and event to having an association that tried to codify all of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's founded in July 1974, but I think we can go back a year or two to look at how it would get to that stage of founding a national association. So Waterford and Tipperary, they are the first two counties to actually set up county boards, and they are the first two counties to play an inter-county match against each other as well. And this is happening in kind of late 1971, early 1972. And then in 1973, another inter-county match is organised, but this time between Offaly and Kerry, and the Offaly Association in Dublin is really instrumental in organising this match, and it gets really good publicity at the time. So it's getting coverage in national newspapers, and the newspapers are really positive about the impact that this can have on Gaelic games, and they're encouraging of it. So you kind of see how the game is developing at different rates in different counties, but there's interest in it, and it's clear that there's interest in developing the game beyond local carnivals or county championships into inter-county games. So then a meeting takes place in Hayes's Hotel in Tipperary, which was the same place the GAA was founded 90 years earlier. And it's a very small meeting. There's not that many people at it, but the decision is made that they should set up a Ladies Gaelic Football Association and run off an inter-county championship officially for the first time. And there's only 8 counties taking part, but we have the likes of Tipperary, Waterford, Cork, Kerry, Offaly, Laois, Roscommon, and Galway taking part in that first championship. And it's successful. They managed to put it together within just a couple of months and to run it off really successfully. And Tipperary are crowned the first official Ladies Gaelic Football All-Ireland champions. And with the success of that, then activities continue and they develop over the rest of the decade.
Now, after the break, Hayley talks to us about the powerhouse of 1970s ladies football, Offaly.
Health and fitness.
With DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports. With gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dsports.ie.
Midlands 103.
Welcome back. Before the break, author of Unladylike, A History of the LGFA, Hayley Kilgallen was telling us about the sometimes strained relationship ladies football had with Irish society before it eventually founded its own official association 50 years ago. I asked her to explain to us just how important Offaly was to the development of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they are one of the pioneers of ladies Gaelic football. They're so instrumental in promoting the game, and you can see that even in the naming of the All Ireland Cup is after an Offaly man, Brendan Martin. He was the first assistant treasurer of the LGFA, and he donates the cup that year in 1974. So Offaly are very much involved administratively in the promotion of ladies Gaelic football, but also on the pitch as well. They are a dominant force in Leinster in those early years, and like you say, then they go on to win an All Ireland in 1979 against Tipperary.
Talk to us about the following 15, 20 years. And the reason I'm putting that into a grouping, I suppose, is because women's sport globally experienced a real profile boost, I would say, over the last quarter century. What about the previous quarter century, from the outset of the LGFA up until the turn of the millennium? What were the challenges it experienced and the successes that it managed to pull off? Because by the time, for instance, we get through to the 90s, very much established as a sport in this country, and a sport that young girls could grow up playing in their clubs at home.
Yeah, so the 1970s for women's sport, not just in Ireland, but all across the world, is a real time of change and kind of progress and breakthrough into male-dominated sports, like in Ireland, Gaelic football, but also games like soccer as well. Women's soccer is starting to take off. So this explosion or emergence of ladies Gaelic football in the 1970s is not happening on its own. But what the LGFA, how they're different, I guess, is that they don't have the support of an overarching body, or they can't look to a body outside of Ireland to get support. So it's really impressive that the success that they have in their early years, but they have to overcome challenges such as, access to facilities. They're reliant on the GAA often locally to provide facilities for matches. In terms of publicity, some newspapers are happy to carry information and reports on matches. Others are not so much. Sometimes the public opinion expressed in the newspaper is very positive about a ladies Gaelic football. Other times it's not. So they have to contend with that as well, and getting support then, like I said, from other bodies. So in those early years, they are keen to get support from the GAA. to kind of add a little bit of legitimacy to their activities. But the GAA are quite sceptical at first, and they see the game as unladylike. They're worried about the impact it might have on camogie, and they have a kind of a long running dialogue open with them, and it takes until 1982 before the GAA officially give recognition to ladies Gaelic football. So in those kind of first 2 decades, the 1970s and 1980s, they're very much just trying to establish themselves. And they do this really well by expanding the kind of competitions that they have available. So they add in like an under 16 and under 18 All-Ireland Championship. They add in a Club All-Ireland Championship. So they recognise that they need to provide competitions and games to, young girls as well as older women, and to club players as well as developing the inter-county game. So by the time they get to the 90s, then like one of their main successes is that they have maintained their status and they haven't just gone away, which was a feeling that some people in the GAA had, that they thought this was a fad, and after a while interest in ladies Gaelic football would fall away. But that's not the case, and by the time we get to the 1990s, then there's this kind of like second push to grow the profile of the game, and you see that then in there's a huge increase in the number of counties setting up county boards in the 1990s, so that by the end of the 1990s, all bar one county, Kilkenny, have a county board set up, but they do follow quite quickly then in the early 2000s, so that there is ladies Gaelic football being played in all 32 counties in Ireland, as well as outside of Ireland in the likes of New York and London taking part in the Inter-County Championship.
By the time we get into the 2000s, then an important historical marker in the growth of the game is the arrival of T.G. Cahir's coverage of ladies football. How important was that for the general population in this country to feel at home with ladies football in a way they do with football generally?
It has been a really successful and kind of monumental partnership, I think, for the LGFA. And it's also been of benefit to TG Cahir. So the first time ladies Gaelic football is televised live on television is in 1998, and that is by RTE. But then in 2001, the LGFA reached an agreement with TG Cahir to come on board as the main broadcaster and sponsor of the championship. And I guess, like you say, it brings ladies Gaelic football into people's homes and into people's consciousness on a level that wasn't done before, and it's piquing interest then amongst young girls and amongst parents and families, and they can see now the spectacle, the great spectacle that is ladies Gaelic football, and they're impressed by the athleticism and how the game has developed. So it's hugely important in giving visibility to ladies Gaelic football. And to borrow a phrase that was used by the 2020 campaign there a few years ago, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So it's really important in that sense, and just spreading, I guess, awareness of ladies Gaelic football.
And then looking back over sort of the last 10 or 15 years, I suppose it's become a big attendance sport for, say, for instance, the All-Ireland finals. I'm right in saying it's around 2010. It's the biggest lady sport participation sport in this country. It's in the 50 years up to about year 40. It's moved at lightning pace when you consider where it came from.
It has, yeah, absolutely. I mean, its membership today is just under 200,000, and it's really kind of from the 1990s onwards that participation numbers and membership numbers grows, and that's because of like I said, the expansion into newer counties, but also then expansion of the game into schools. When Helen O'Rourke comes in as CEO in 1997, she's very keen to target schools and sees that as a really important area where they can introduce ladies Gaelic football to the younger age groups, and that helps to develop then club structures outside of schools and that sort of thing. So it has grown phenomenally over the last 50 years, when there was just 8 counties taking part in that first championship to a membership of nearly 200,000 today.
I want to cast your eyes forward, Hayley, and in doing that, looking to the future, we have to also consider the past. And one of the the black marks in the LGFA's history around Gaelic games is segregation, the segregations of women from facilities that are there, the segregation of the associations in another way. If you look at how the GAA is separate from Camogie and ladies Gaelic football, and how much resource could have been there over those 50 years or even prior to that, considering there was always an appetite for playing this sport. There is sincere talk now about the merging of the associations. It's impossible to forecast exactly what's coming down the tracks in that regard. But for ladies Gaelic football and the future 10, 20, 30, 40 years, where do you see the path for the most growth? How do you see, what do you think are the biggest priorities for the welfare of Gaelic football amongst women in this country?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very positive about this potential integration, and I don't know all the ins and outs and what they're discussing, but I think it can only be of benefit to all three organisations if they are one and they are sharing, resources to promote the playing of Gaelic games in the first instance, and then also to promote it in terms of like as a spectator sport. So I think there are two areas that are really important for the LGFA, is that they want to attract new members all the time. They have set out before in strategic policies that they want to be the sport of choice for females in Ireland. So I think that's one key area that, with greater access to facilities, hopefully that will encourage more girls and women to take up ladies Gaelic football. There is still quite a difference, or there's a bit of a gap there in terms of the number of teenage girls dropping out of sports in general compared to boys in their teenage years. So, potentially with integration, when you've got greater access to facilities and to resources and opportunities, there might be the opportunity to reduce that gap there. I think at an inter-county level, obviously they are keen to encourage greater attendances and the promotion of ladies Gaelic football. With Lidl coming on board since 2016, they've done great work in promoting ladies Gaelic football. There's fantastic ads out there all the time promoting the athleticism of the game and the effort that our female inter-county players put into playing Gaelic football. So I think, again, with the resources that are there with the GAA and the Camogie Association, there's an opportunity to really push for that and to push ladies Gaelic football inter-county games on really big billings, and to get people coming out to support their counties as much as they do with the men's game. So there'd be two areas I think would be really important, is that grassroots level, making sure that we maintain interest in ladies Gaelic football and then grow it, but also in growing the status of our ladies Gaelic football inter-county game.
Hayley Kilgallen, author of Unladylike, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you very much.
When we return, you'll hear the argument for investing in our indoor leisure sector with public money.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports. With gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
Midlands 103.
Carl Dunn is the CEO of Ireland Active. They represent the leisure, health and fitness sector in this country. They're campaigning to get more public funding for their sector before the forthcoming budget. Carl joined me earlier in the week and I started our chat by asking him to outline the current lay of the land.
Yeah, so just a couple of stats, David. Personal exercise is the biggest participation sport in the country, and it's close with 15% of the population participating in personal exercise, and that would be in gyms and leisure centres throughout Ireland. That's closely followed by swimming, which is the second biggest participation sport. 9% of the population would participate in swimming across the country. What we're looking to do is we're looking to move those numbers up and considerably. What we're trying to do is to incentivise people to actually partake more in personal exercise and swimming. And what we've done is we've commissioned a Red Sea poll to see what the uptake would look like in an uptake, and it was fairly positive results we got. Now we kind of knew when we did the survey of the 15% of people that use personal exercise on a daily basis, and the swimming population as well, 85% of those said they would favour a tax credit to help them pay for that service. But the big one that we found was nearly 3 in 10 people that were polled, that's 28%, said if there was a tax credit around exercising or swimming, that they would actually they would take up a membership or a swimming membership in one of their local leisure facilities. So they're quite big numbers. And if you were to look at that from, I suppose, a Laois, Offaly and Westmeath perspective, that would be about 45,000 people that aren't currently exercising would actually be incentivised to actually start exercising.
Okay, and 45,000 people who aren't exercising specifically in the facilities that would have this tax relief.
Yes, and
okay.
what we're looking for on that is it's a personal tax relief. So it'd be via your Med 1 form. So most people who have personal insurance or are doing tax returns would know that they can put in for certain medical procedures through their Med 1 form. So what we're calling for on government is to actually use a personal exercise and swimming to be allowed people to take a tax credit on that via their Med 1 form.
Okay, and in terms of your interactions with the government over the course of the summer, can you bring us up to date on how they've been going and what your expectation is when it comes to the delivery of the budget?
Yeah, so we've had a really, really strong and good response from across all parties. We have a number of meetings lined up with ministers in the coming weeks to actually push this forward and explain it a little more to them. But overall, especially on the ministerial front, we've had a very positive feedback. So we're very hopeful that we may be able to get this through in the budget. But again, it's something Ireland Active have been working on for a number of years. So it's not a flash in the pan idea we've been implementing a number of pre-budget submissions over the last number of years. But this one is very hot at the moment. And we think, considering the amount of people that are inactive in Ireland and, of course, all the government strategies around getting people more active, this could be a real win, and it's an easy win for them as well.
If I were to play the objective part here or devil's advocate, Carl, I'd have to ask you, this is specific to, facilities along the health, leisure and fitness sector, indoor exercise, like you say, 45,000 people in the Midlands, not facilitating of those, but they might well be doing elsewhere. I'm thinking of outdoor activity clubs, and there's tons of them across the country. Why is this sector more deserving of, say, that tax break than other disciplines and other, say, outdoor pursuits? Yeah,
sure. And look, what we want at the heart of it is we want, and our motto in Ireland Active is more people, more active, more often. We really don't mind where people are getting their physical activity from. However, Ireland doesn't have the best of climates, so, and most people have seen the summer that we've had, it's been quite wet. We're coming now into the winter time. Most people won't want to go out when it's dark at 4:30 and cold and wet and raining. They need an alternative place where they can actually exercise. And leisure centres, gyms and swimming pools are the ideal place, especially throughout the winter months.
Yeah, I can't argue against that answer, to be fair. That's certainly, I think everybody can relate to the absolute rubbish summer that we've experienced over the course of the last number of weeks. Talk to me about what the process is actually like with these pre-budget submissions. Do you send documentation and submissions to the relevant departments before setting up meetings with ministers or lower level civil servants? How long a process is it, and what's involved?
Yeah, sure. So it's quite a detailed process. We would have started this process back in April, very early April. And now, the budgets will be coming out in early October. So we've started our submission in April. That means us going around, getting the data that we need, and then compiling that data and then putting a compelling story forward. We would have then sent out our poll and a letter with all the facts on it to every single TD and senator in the country. Okay. What we do then is we engage with a number of different departments and a number of cross parties as well in our work that we've done, and setting up meetings with them, not just with the ministers, with TDs and senators, and also with senior civil servants. And
at what point do you ever get confirmation before the budget comes out that, yes, do you know what, we're going to go with this, or look, sorry, maybe next year?
No, the budget is fairly tight, and all facts and figures around it is very, very tight. You may get a slight heads up, but it's rare. Now, in saying that, if a lot of it gets leaked as well, but we wouldn't personally be getting a nod to say this is going through.
I get you. Okay. And we're talking about where Ireland Active wants the country to move towards in terms of people being active in the country. What about where we've come from? What's the trajectory? How are we today compared to where we were previously?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's funny, if obviously we were up at the 16-17% in personal exercise, and I think we were at 10% in swimming pre-COVID. Obviously, the COVID pandemic shut down all facilities in the industry. So we're nearly back up to pre-COVID participation levels and membership, and it's actually very, very strong now. So going forward, we're looking at that, and the trajectory is that it's going to continue to grow. And across all demographics and age groups, and especially one of the fastest growing demographics is the over 55s.
That's the fastest growing demographic at the moment?
Yeah, there's a lot of 55-year-olds partaking in exercise and physical activity.
And they weren't previously, so that obviously speaks to some success in older persons' exercise programmes generally across the country.
Yeah, there's a number of them, and the local sports partnerships and Sport Ireland as well have been implementing a lot of them, and they've been instrumental in that. And again, we work with the local sports partnerships and Sport Ireland and the Department of Sport in actually putting those programs together and getting them rolled out, because 99% of those happen in our members' facilities, so they're in the leisure centres and gyms across every county. Yeah,
there's some good work being done for sure. Look, Carl, we appreciate you coming on to the programme to talk to us. Best of luck with everything regarding Ireland Active going forward. Once again, a new initiative being pitched at the stage as a pre-budget submission is to promote adult participation in personal exercise and swimming by the introduction of a personal tax relief for gym and swimming pool memberships. 083 30 10 103 with your thoughts on this, or you can email sport@midlands103.com, and I might bring some of the discussion into one of the programmes over the next couple of weeks. For the moment, Carl, thanks again, and we might catch up with you afterwards if you get this one over the line.
Yeah, super. Love to talk to you again, David. Thank you again.
We're done for another week on health and fitness. Country Roads follows the news at 8 o'clock. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.